Just double check. Oh, we're back.
Hello.
Well, hello everyone.
And here we are, back in the room.
Well,
back in the room.
You've just been with us listening to Raphael Viola's story and his book, Stealing Lives. Please go back and watch that. It's just so powerful and very moving and very heart-wrenching as well. And of course, we like to cover all kinds of stories here, not just, politics, but obviously people's personal journeys that their voices need to be heard. So thank you so much to Raphael for coming on, and for Andrew as well for sharing and supporting him on his journey road.
Absolutely. I mean, it's always really, really hard to hear people's stories and then to actually hear it, somebody who's actually not just somebody that's suffered and a victim, but he's a survivor, because he's going out there and he's fighting for the children, the other children, the lost children. He's fighting, and that takes some guts. That just shows that he is, I've got to take my hat off to him, because I just don't know how you do that. How do you do that?
Well, folks, look, we're moving the story up a little bit now. It's just changing gears slightly, isn't it? We're going to be talking about this. The breaking news, of course, is that the Iran leader has been eliminated, along with many other officials there as well. Many of you know that the regime in Iran has been brutal, and he has murdered, killed, tens, hundreds, if not hundreds of thousands of his own people. And it's a regime that's been classed as a dictatorial leadership under the Ayatollah there in Iran. And many Iranians have been celebrating here in London, across the UK, because they feel as though their country now has been freed from the grip of this Islamic terrorist, which is what he is. Here are some of the scenes we're going to show you now. I know that Mayor Tusi has been celebrated. Mayor, I don't know if you know his channel. He is an Iranian himself. He fled here many, many years ago because of the persecution he was facing for speaking out against this Islamic regime. And here are some of the scenes in London this evening, once they found out the news that Trump, alongside Netanyahu, had taken out the Ayatollah leader. Here are some of the celebrations. Just watch this. And as you can see there, interestingly enough, it's not just the Iranian flag being flown there, the Israeli flag's being flown there as well. Of course, the American flag's being flown there. But interestingly enough, our own Prime Minister was very silent for quite a long period of time, and then saying he's not going to get involved. Now, this could be another Iraq situation where we've seen like an Islamic regime being brought down, but what it's going to be replaced with is what a lot of people are concerned about. And of course, for the first thing to say is this: the Iranian people, it's their country, right? They're the ones who are celebrating, and many of them are saying now they can return back. In fact, Mayor Tusi's father, he hasn't seen him, Road, for 15 years.
That's horrendous.
Because he couldn't go back there because of death threats. And here's what Mayor Tusi thought about the death of the Ayatollah later on this evening in these celebrations.
Absolute insane scenes in North London, in Finchley, as a huge crowd of Iranians have come out to celebrate the fall of Khamenei. We got the Trump flag, of course. Uncle Donald, look at this absolute insanity right now in North London. The monarchists, the pro-freedom Iranians, Democrats, everybody out. Look at the crowd. It's crazy stuff.
There we go, folks.
We're just trying to get Joe back on.
We are trying to get Joe. He's the expert in all this, right? But we can talk through some of it, because what happened, obviously, Donald Trump made this statement. This was yesterday, before the actual attack took place. He did warn Iran, because obviously they're developing nuclear warheads and missiles and everything else, and they've been attacking Israel for many, many years. And of course, Greece is now involved. But here's what Trump had to say. Listen to his speech a day before he warned, before the strikes happened in Tehran.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer. From Lebanon to Yemen and Syria to Iraq, the regime has armed, trained, and funded terrorist militias that have soaked the earth with blood and guts.
Yeah, and that was Donald Trump the day before the strike there in Iran, and obviously taking out the Ayatollah. And here's some footage on. So scenes there of the missile attacks there in Iran, taking out the nuclear areas where they were being developed. And Andrew's going to come on, Joak, we just come off another show with him. Delighted to have you back on, Andrew.
Hi.
Yeah, again, yeah. You've been following this story. You've been following this story. Of course, I saw our viewers that have just jumped on. We're discussing the elimination of the Ayatollah leader there. And Iranians in the UK are certainly celebrating, and in Iran itself, because they feel as if this regime's been brought down, a dictatorship. Your thoughts around it, Andrew? What's been going on? Bring us up to speed, my friend.
Okay, so I'm going to share what I can, because obviously I've got to protect my sources. Not the HP or the red source, but obviously people that have been helping me out. I did a live stream actually yesterday on Facebook to test something, and I shared information live. And people who watched that show would know that I actually was able to communicate the information about the Ayatollah sooner than it was even reported over here. In fact, it was denied over here that he had actually died. And we knew, well, obviously I found out he had, of course, passed away in that building. So what's happening, it's we have to be careful, because there's a lot of speculation and then manipulation by the mass media. And what happens in any of these things is the propaganda goes from both sides. So I've got a very neutral aspect, and I would only report on the facts. And I can talk you through the facts of really what happened yesterday and why it happened and where we are at the moment. So yesterday was very interesting, because the night before, when they left the meeting, the Americans made it really clear that they were not going to do any deal with the Iranians. In fact, actually, they went so far to say is that they had been pushed away, and they felt as though that they were going to do something catastrophic to the Americans to show them and teach them a lesson. But the reality is, of course, slightly different. Now, the interesting thing really is that we were watching the skies around with flight radar and other ones, and we saw a lot of movement, as we have done in the recent times. And if you look at flight radar, where Tehran is, or where Iran is, you will see if there's going to be attacked with missiles when they start separation on the border of Iraq. And I was watching and thinking, what's going on here? Is it going to happen tonight? And usually when you see attacks, it's early in the morning. But there started to be a separation. I thought, right, okay, because the airlines had been told. What we now know is that Putin and Russia was told well in advance. Now that you think that's not an ally. Well, Putin's not the enemy we all think he is. Starmer was blackballed. We were not told it was going to happen. We actually had 2 Eurofighters and a logistics aircraft out on the evening, and they went quiet because it was transporters went quiet and then they disappeared. Now, it was a training exercise. Starmer was not told, because I believe Starmer has a bigger role in helping the Ayatollah than actually getting rid of him. In other words, he can come and get some safe haven. Now, that's speculation, right? I'm going to come on to that bit. So what happened really is that they decided, they gave him 2 days, the Ayatollah, to get himself sorted and leave the country. Then something sparked the attack in 10 hours. Now that was, of course, hitting the Ayatollah. Now, that must be the only reason why they went for that attack. Now I know that the Chinese were digging around trying to poke the bear. And somewhere along the line, Trump has said, let's just go early. And I think it caught everyone's surprise because nobody really expected it to happen that quick. But they did it, and they took out the Ayatollah on the early morning, and everyone else was denying it. So that was the kind of catalyst of going early. There's obviously some other things going on there which I can speculate on, but probably better not to at the moment. But when that attack was made, it follows something that happened during the week, because there were some rumors going around that some of the actual family of the, let's say, the hierarchy had been brought down in a plane crash. That was the rumors early in the week. So they're starting to see a lot of activity. Now, what normally happens when any president of a country that's going to be attacked, they go and get the videos done, go underground to show to the rest of the world they're still there. Well, that didn't happen, did it? In the videos. So they obviously caught him way earlier than he thought he was going to get caught on. Now, that's the issue, because then when you hit them with this situation, why did they do it? Why did they go after Iran? They've been such a problem for 37 years of the Ayatollah's reign. Why now? The rumors are, and I normally don't speculate, so I'm going to, let's say it's a rumor. The weapons that Iran had is not just nuclear. It's also something with lasers. So people heard about the field lasers that go and did in Hawaii. Very similar. Now, this is speculate at the moment, and it's not weapons of mass destruction, but we can talk about the reason why they went early, because those would have hit the UK, as an example, easily. With missiles, it's harder. So there's a reason they went. I'm speculating a little bit because I think it's best to say that. I don't have the full knowledge, but they did have some equipment. Now, this equipment, you should know, if it's done in the way of the satellites, as they could do it, they could attack anywhere in the world. They could take out Faslane as an example, or Portsmouth. They would not have gone for our cities, because that's where a lot of the Iranians happen to be at the moment, who are there as sleeping cells. So there's a reason behind it. You may or may not know in Tehran, there's actually a underrail link underground between there and China. Now, that is very deep, because there's actually for trade. But there's also a reason even out the country. There's also a monorail underground underneath that. So there's lots of these things that could have happened. So if you look easily at what happened, you see that the week before it happened, there was fires being all over that country. And it could be shoe factories, it could be a chemical factory. So when you start to look at that, and it's easy for people to work on, you can get some feelings for it. And experience tells me that it was planned, because the fire started, there's some unrest, and these things were starting to happen prior to the attack. Now, why did they do it? I suggested that they had weapons that would hurt us. Why were we not involved? Because Starmer is a lover of that regime, and you can see it from Jeremy Corbyn was actually out doing a demonstration in support of them. There's still a day there. So there's a lot of kind of things like that going on. But the important thing is that when it happened, the attack was only get a big response. Now, the Iranians only have a certain number of missiles. Now, I understand from my military contacts I've been speaking to, they only have about 1,000 missiles left. They've been sending them out. There's a finite art of actually getting rid of those weapons to other countries, because they cannot manufacture anymore. They were all hit in the first strike. So what Trump did and what Israel did is he took out their manufacturing facilities for this missile, knowing they could not get any more. So there's a finite number. Then that leads to the question is, who was killed? Well, they killed the main leadership, and apparently the son. I'm waiting for some confirmation on a few things just now, because I want to say it on your show if I can give you the exclusive. But they took out the leadership, the generals, and they took out other key people which have not been mentioned on any media. This was done by taking out middle management. Now, they are the people that would implement the soldiers on the streets. Now, there's 50,000 deaths of civilians prior to this on the streets. They're at present killing their own people on the street at the moment. So there's a struggle to hold on to power still. So when this attack took place, they expected a response. Response went first to somewhere they did not expect. which was Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Why was Abu Dhabi important? Oil. Why is Qatar important? Well, they support America. They think other reasons what could then happen. They think, well, why don't we go after Dubai? Tourism, finance. They picked their targets really well because they knew oil is a key thing for it to do. So if you're looking at the way that it happened, when it took off, we were watching the skies. I was getting information from contacts I have in that area. And they made it very clear that everybody in that region that supported the US or Israel was going to be subject to an attack. And that's exactly what they did. Now, in Iraq, there is an airbase that is not seen on any map elsewhere. The Iranians tried to get it. Now, I would have to say that looking at those countries that support the attack, they've gone for the Arab ones first. Then they went for Saudi Arabia. And then what is next? Well, the next part is France, UK, and everybody else. But the UK has not been involved, supposedly. Because the reason behind that is Starmer was not told about it, and he wanted to get the Ayatollah out safely. Now, that is a reason for us not to be attacked. But we know what he's like. So when you have a look at what they're doing, I can give you lots of other information, which I can tell you in a minute, but I think it's important that people understand the reason would have been that they had to take something out. We've had weapons of mass destruction before, which didn't exist. The Iranians were the last rogue state to have any impact in that region, but also have a reach across the world, which they've been planning for a long time. So I think the reason behind that is to stop the rise in the military in terms of the sleeper cells, but they're already here, which we'll come on to later on, I'm sure. But then look at the capacity of it. They were building something that could have destroyed us. And that is the only reason I think they've been taken out. And I've got to trust in that at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Prime Minister, we've got a clip here. It's not been cropped, so bear with us, folks, as we're just pulling it up, Andrew. When he came out and made the statement, the response, eventually, as you know, he was quiet for quite a while. But as that's coming up, the Green Party leader was doing the media rounds today. And here's what he said on the Laura Kunsberg show in respect to the attack on the Ayatollah there in Iran.
And to Iranian voices like Rana at the beginning of your program, who said powerfully she's been waiting for this moment her entire life. We've seen the end of a brutal, murderous dictator. At the same time, though, I heard Rana say Iran is not free, and in fact the world is no safer. I thought that was quite an astounding interview you just had with the Defence Secretary. We've seen what I would say is an illegal and unprovoked attack. In fact, Jeremy Bowen, the BBC's own international editor, said this is a war of choice. So we've got a Defence Secretary saying that diplomacy is the long runway we need, but he won't condemn Donald Trump when he attacks a country and assassinates its leader. That's the law of the jungle. That's an end to international law, and it's quite astounding that we have a Prime Minister that seems to be singularly incapable of standing up to Donald Trump and letting the UK stand on its own 2 feet. And I'm worried we're going to be pulled into another illegal war.
But if you think these strikes were illegal and you've condemned them, what is your alternative?
Well, the alternative is to listen to the Iranian people and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to foster calm in the region, to encourage...
The Iranian regime didn't listen to its own people. It killed many of its own people who wanted a different government. So why do you think that the Iranian regime, or what's left of it this morning, would listen to Western governments when they haven't for decades?
Well, this is why we need de-escalation in the region, and we're already seeing the conflict spread even wider. I don't have an easy answer on how we make peace and diplomacy and democracy in the region, but I do know that there's no example in history where you've bombed people to democracy. Putting airstrikes for regime change has never led an example where a country is better off afterwards.
But you say that there should be negotiation, you should listen to the Iranian people. I would ask you again, what would your alternative be? Clearly, you don't like it, but Israel and America made the calculation, it seems, it's very clear. If what it took was strikes to end a repressive regime, it was worth it. So what would your alternative be?
Well, I don't accept the presupposition of the question. I don't think it took strikes, because actually Iran were already at the negotiating table. Under President Obama, we saw progress with Iran. Donald Trump took them to the negotiation table But it was clear it was totally bad faith because they literally murdered the leader at the same time they're at the negotiation table.
But that leader murdered many of his own people just weeks ago. And if you look at the pattern of Iran over the years, yes, there have been negotiations, but the International Nuclear Watchdog, for example, has upbraided and reprimanded Iran on many occasions for breaking its rules. Iran's been supporting Russia against Ukraine. Iran has planned plots in this country too. So what earthly evidence do you have that Iran would have said, oh, OK, actually, we'll listen to you this time?
Well, I'm here in no way to defend the Iranian regime. I'm here to defend and speak up for the Iranian people.
But the question is, why do you think that negotiation could have been an option here? What evidence do you have of that when it's failed for decades?
Because the moment you've ruled out negotiation, you've accepted that you're going to war. And I don't think the British people want to see another war in that region. So the question becomes, how do you make diplomacy and negotiation work? Now, what I know is negotiation was happening. Whether it was working or not is a legitimate question. But I don't think the answer can be, it's not working, so we're going to bomb and kill them. The answer has to be, how do we work harder to make...
Right.
I have never been, and this is your show, I have never been more angry at a complete lunatic that is completely unhinged and has absolutely no idea what the reality is. He's never been near this country. He has no idea. He even said they were still at the negotiating table whilst they killed the Ayatollah. Hang on, he got killed at 10:30 in the morning and the negotiations stopped 6 o'clock night before. That guy is unhinged, complete lunatic. Honestly, and I will come on a little bit later on to what the UK impact's going to be, and I need to communicate some information later on. But let me tell you, if you have any idea of what the real world is about, you'll see that guy is a complete unhinged lunatic that should not be near a ballot box. Sorry.
No,
Come on, we're rage baiting.
Well, the thing is, we just had an MP elected in Gorton and Denton. We know it was a Muslim bloc vote, and that's the Green Party leader there.
Yeah.
And we know that our country has been invaded by an ideology and a religion, a civilization that is alien to ours. And my greatest fear is while this is celebrated by most, well, if not all Iranians that are living here because of fear of their lives.
They're all in London.
Yeah, they're all celebrating the freedom and everything else because they're fearful because there's no free speech in that country. It's dictatorial, as we know. I think he's only the second Ayatollah they've had since the government was formed there. If you can call it a government, it's not democratic at all. The question I've got is burning in my mind, though, and it's something that a lot of people have been posting on social media for and against. Jeremy Corbyn's kind of thing about, this is another Iraq situation, right? We went in under false pretenses. We were told there was weapons of mass destruction. We went in there with Bush, and it was a complete a disaster, and it was, right? It was wrong. This is different, Andrew, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I Tony Blair and Bush should be taken as war criminals. I think we all know that now. But I have lived in this region. I've got lots of friends in the region. I've had friends in Iran. I've got friends in Israel. I've got friends in Iraq. I've got friends all over. I'm not an apologist for any country, but when it comes to an unhinged lunatic leader like the Green Party guy, who uses terrorism and funds terrorism against the rest of the world, I am the biggest exponent of non-corruption and non-war. He is dangerous. And when I look at what happened in Iran, having spoken to people in Iran now, today, they are absolutely overjoyed. This was a Christian country. I mean, it's not been a hardline Muslim country. It's been a Christian country. Women have been oppressed. And you've seen it take off the burqa. This man had developed strategically weapons of mass destruction against us all. The uranium, they stopped that. But they didn't stop the other stuff. And that's why it's different. And these people that sit there and pontificate saying we shouldn't have taken it. I'm not a lover of Trump. I'm not a lover of Israel. I'm not a lover of war. But there comes a time when you have to make a move to stop something that could be catastrophic to us all. And the fact that the states around it, the Jordan, the UAE, Iraq, all the rest of them supported this, tells you they were also concerned about what was going on. And the ones that didn't is Lebanon and Yemen. And I'm sure they'll have a big part to play against Israel in the future. So I'm not raging. Sorry.
We've got an Iranian church here that actually heard the news, and basically they just went into...
This church is in England. It's in UK.
Is it?
Yes, in the UK. So when they hear the news, this church, they were worshipping, and you got the clip here, haven't you? And I might be wrong. You might be right. I'm not sure. So I might have got that wrong. But I thought it was in London that the poster was sent.
I thought it was.
But either way, look, these are Iranians celebrating, the freedom because they've been set free from this dictatorial system, this regime. But again, I mean, where because you brought this up before about, Keir Starmer, he just disappears, doesn't he?
I found him hiding under a table, actually. Literally, there is a photo everywhere with his shoes sticking out and he's there hiding. But this is what happened before, right? Trump did a move. Well, I did a video and I completely mocked Keir, and I just said, oh, you thought you were centre stage, did you? Oh, look, and Trump's gone in and actually just missiled everybody, and you have no clue what's going on. And yet again, it's happened twice now. Trump is doing his moves without telling Keir anything because he knows how dark and infiltrated he is to the sides that he really shouldn't be.
Absolutely. And this is the statement he made. So forgive the graphic here because you haven't had time to crop it, guys.
Earlier this morning, the United States and Israel struck targets in Iran. Iran has since launched indiscriminate strikes across the region. I know the British people and communities across our country will be deeply concerned about what this means for security and stability and for the fate of innocent people across the region, which for so many of us includes friends and family members. So whilst the situation is evolving very quickly, I want to set out our response. The United Kingdom played no role in these strikes. But we have long been clear. The regime in Iran is utterly abhorrent. They have murdered thousands of their own people, brutally crushed dissent, and sought to destabilize the region. Even in the United Kingdom, the Iranian regime poses a direct threat to dissidents and to the Jewish community. Over the last year alone, they have backed more than 20 potentially lethal attacks on UK soil. So it is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US. I condemn Iran's attacks today on partners across the region, many of which are not parties to this conflict. We extend our support and solidarity to them as part of our commitments to the security of our allies in the Middle East. We have a range of defensive capabilities in the region, which we've recently strengthened. Our forces are active, and British planes are in the sky today as part of coordinated regional defensive operations.
Honestly, I can't even bear to hear his voice. I'm going to say something here. Everybody that was on that live stream yesterday knows that my information is 100% correct. I was saying things long before it came out. I have it on good authority that he was trying to find a way over a period of time before this to get the Ayatollah to safety during negotiations early on, because he felt that that was a way of transition to regime change, not regime change we would think. An MP on the Friday prior to this happening from Labour was busy on talking about how it is wrong to get the royal family back into Iran. And they should not allow that. It should remain as it was. This man is unhinged. Another one. In fact, all of them are unhinged. And I can't get over why he can stand there and having the audacity to say things that he is talking bullshit about. He is completely out of depth, or he's being led by the Fabian whoever's going to leading him. To me, honestly, he's a danger to us. He's a danger to us. In fact, actually, if Putin's watching, just get a little bit there. I'll give you his address and just help us out a little bit.
Number 10 Downing Street.
Honestly, I just can't believe that he's either a clone, a robot, or he's a lunatic and unhinged that has no idea of the real world. I'm worried personally, and I know the back chat from all the security services, the journalist guys, the guys who are on the ground, the military people. Every one of them knows that we are not part of what's going forward because we're infiltrated. Absolutely.
So Claire Bears here said, can I ask Andrew how he thinks this will affect countries around Iran now?
Okay, so I would expect in the coming days to see Yemen and Lebanon launch attacks against Israel, because when the missiles run out, the stage 2 will be to do something local. I mean, that's what will happen. I'm sure it will. There'll be some attacks. Around that, if you look at all the other countries, they are going to be delighted they can secure their borders. And this is where the mixture of politics in the Middle East is very difficult. Now, I used to appear on the PNR show talking about this many moons ago, and I don't like BBC now. But I was very clear in saying, the problem you've got is the 3 parts of Islam. There are the Sunnis and there's all the rest of them. These 3 different fractions all fight. So you've got the Saudis are against, of course, Iran because of that, for that reason. Now, the countries surrounding that area, they needed Iran to be taken out because they were consistently under threats. And I think what will happen is the Americans will be able to build bases, more bases around there, more security for the region, and use that as their stepping stone to make sure that everything in the future is controlled. And I think their job will be to control that shipping lane. I think the security of these places will actually be fine. I think once you've got rid of those extremists who've appeared now in our country, right? We're the ones with the problem. And I'd like to talk about that a little bit later on, but because there's some big things that they're going to be doing against us soon, I think. But the countries around that area is going to be safe enough. Once these guys are cleared out, I'm really confident that it'll return to some sort of normality. The problem you got is little things of Afghanistan, shoot at Pakistan. There'll always be little conflicts. But I do believe Abu Dhabi, Kuwait, Dubai, obviously, and then come into Jordan, Iraq, and Syria, they will all be okay. No question.
Yeah. So Starmer has murdered his people with his ideology and open borders. Well, we all know that. He's just so ignorant. Like you said, he's either being his masters and the puppet is doing what he's told, or he's just completely, well, I think he's a robot. The way he talks, he trips over his words the whole time. He's like,
I think the other concern is, whilst we've got, obviously very good Iranians over here, good people, like Mayor Tusi is a friend of ours as well. There's a possibility of splinter cells in this country that are here already. And of course, what will happen whenever we attack a Islamic country, their religion comes before anything else, right? And if they're over here in our country, because of the open border policy that we've had under decades of different governments, Andrew, there's going to be a reaction against the Jewish community. Our friend David Atherton has been out in London, in Worcester, in London today, I think it was, seeing some of the protests, the anti-Jewish kind of protest, if you like. So this is going to kick off in the UK. Now, I'm going to bring it back to us here because it matters here to us, doesn't it? There's going to be some reaction to it here in the UK, isn't there?
Yeah. So just so people are aware, my information is spot on, and what I'm going to tell you now is 100% correct. I have to be careful of some things I can't say because I don't want to be arrested again by MI5 or anything else that's dramatic. But Israel, it's not been reported in a lot of places today. I don't think it's anywhere. I was made aware of an attack at a school in Israel, right? Just hold that thought for a moment. And that came from a journalist in Jerusalem. And he was telling me about it. And a number of children were killed and it was shocking and blah, blah, blah. So that was a kind of a cell terrorist attack. Now, what has been coming to us and what information we have from good people who know this from the Middle East, who've confirmed, and we've reconfirmed things here, that there is a plan. So I'm going to read something out here about terrorist cells, a network, and what Iran had actually said at the time where we thought that Ayatollah was, let's say, alive or being under attack. But they made a clear statement, and to activate the sleeper cells, the people that will look after the Islamic Republic of Iran, to further the aims of those who are responsible for killing our country and restricting our people. You will need to take the necessary action, and let's praise to Allah. So that was a statement made, which was shared after, and I believe it could be CIA or Mossad or somebody else who put something out to the prayers in the prayer people in Iran by saying, "Help is on its way. Have trust in us." Now, whoever did that did a very good job, because the Iranian friends of mine have come to me and said, "You can't believe what was being said at prayers." But that is a call now to understand that these people who've been coming to our country and to Europe are being activated. So you've got stage one, the big thing in Iran. Stage two would be probably Lebanon and Yemen attacking Israel, probably, until that's... In the meantime, they'll get prepared for the sleeper cells to be activated. Now, those sleeper cells will focus on schools. They will focus on women and children especially. Well, how do I know that? Well, it's already started in Israel. They have a history of looking at terrorist accidents. And in fact, I spoke to a former soldier today who was in the intelligence services, and he's actually on this tonight, I believe. He told me very clearly, their information is, if there's an attack on a school, there will be crowds gathering. And those crowds will be the target, secondary target. There will be people turning up, dressed as ambulance or police or whatever it is. They will be the ones that will take carnage against the bystanders. Now, we've got to remember we're in the Christian area at the moment, so we've got Lent and everything else. I would think, and I hope I'm wrong, but I know I'm not, we know that this is more than just a potential. It's going to happen. And people need to understand that when that does, they will want to create carnage. I think there's some stabbings in London today, which was slightly unrelated. You could think, but they're migrants. These people are activated. These Iranians came here. They are very much mistaken if you think this won't happen. These have been hidden. There's 80,000 missing, not accounted for. The mosques supply houses, families. They're not in the hotels. You've got the hotels, they're not there. They will be in the communities, in these houses, where it's supported by the mosques. So we find it very hard to track them down. That's why they've done it. An activation was sent by our good friends in Iran. And that is the next stage, to cause terror on the streets. That will happen.
Yeah. Somebody has asked if they could see the picture of the Prime Minister sat, I don't know if you can see that, sat with a table. Can you see that? Prime Minister.
Yeah.
There he is. Now, somebody's asked here. Oh, sorry.
About the containers.
Sorry, let's go back to that quickly. Just go to that. No, here. Yeah. Just want to say thank you very much. Thank you
for the super chat. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much, Sharon Neal. Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Now, somebody asked earlier, is this anything to do with the containers? You know, the containers, everything that's been going on with the containers, is this something to do with that?
Right. So again, I'm going to be careful here. Now, what happened was there was a lot of misinformation at the beginning. A bed and breakfast owner saying they found guns and they found this and they brought it. These were MI5 operational, let's say, misinformation to make the public think that sounds really stupid or this, and people will talk about it. They're not talking about it, kind of made it poo-poo. The reality was containers leave Lebanon. They get to the south of France. They come through on containers in South France to a shipping port to arrive in airports that are not the main ones. So Liverpool would be a good example. Liverpool could have one to do up the scanners. And these big scanners that can scan these containers, they don't get scanned there. So that would be the sort of place they would turn up in. Hull, could be Newcastle. Those containers I put on my website, what to look for, stickers that come from Lebanon, styles. People will need to, we cannot open containers. So if you find a container, as an example, and we open the container, then we can be charged under the Terrorism Act of 2022, right? So you therefore need equipment that can scan these containers. Are the containers real? Well, I'll give you a good example Ireland. Friends of mine notified the army. There's a stash of arms in a container, the ones we're describing. They then gave that to the army. The army says, we don't want it. It ended back in the hands of people, not the IRA, the other people that you shouldn't be having. So for me, to say the question is, hypothetically, yes, it could be. I can't say any more than that because I just don't want to get misinformation or rumors about it. Are the containers real? I believe they're here. Yes, 100%. And they will be stocked with old arms from, let's say, the old Soviet Union or China or America, or a lot of arms have gone missing in the Middle East down to Hillary Clinton. So these are packed in the containers and just shipped. And those were the ones that were here. So I'm not scaremongering. I'm saying it's a real possibility. There's one in Ireland. We found one. Some in Germany found them. Sweden found a German. Do you really believe that we won't have any here? I think you've got that out for yourself.
Yeah. We just want to thank Buffon. Thank you so much. Thank you for the selfless work you both carried out for advance. Betrayal is devastating. Huge respect for giving us hope and me, a little family. Thank you so much, Buffon. We truly appreciate you. And Farty Pants, thank you so much. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. You said that you were watching Liam Tufts. Well, we're very, very privileged to have you with us now. So thank you guys for coming on. And again, we appreciate your generosity.
There's lots of questions coming in here, but you've got a few as well. Do you want to go through these or yours?
Yeah, no, I wrote something yesterday on X. I think I sent it to you actually, Andrew. And I just put, people of the UK, please be aware the actions by America and Israel on Iran will affect you. The resident Muslims and thousands of illegals you have spread out over your country, thanks to Starmer's Labour, may try to act to retaliate against an American and Israeli ally. So remember, thanks to the actions of your various governments, your country only has 180k military, of which only about 21k are combat proficient, with 8k of those overseas. You also only have a total of 198k police, including all admin staff. So there are over 190k illegals, of which 55 have been lost by your government. Lost by our government.
It's more than that. It's much more. It's more than that. Much more than that. Honestly, that's
so more than 55,000 have been lost. What are we looking at? How much?
Conservatively, over 100. The last figure I had 2 months ago was 82,000. A lot more have gone missing since. And these are people that the ex-military guys and others from the Middle East have identified as radicals that not just come from Iran, there's Taliban as well, but they are here and they go missing. Where can they be hiding? They're hiding in houses, the mosques, about putting in, all that's a distraction. These guys are in our society, in the communities, hiding until they're activated.
So I saw a video where there were lots of tunnels between mosques underground where they're all training to fight. And there's like loads of gyms and there's everybody there that are illegals going into them and literally working to prepare for war. And I mean, sometimes you look at this stuff and you're just like, is this for real? Is this scaremongering? What are we facing? But you know that something's completely wrong when you see all these boats coming over with fighting age men coming in. There's something wrong, and we're shouting out like, this is wrong. And Keir Starmer's just like, carry on, the borders are still wide open. It's absolutely unbelievable. And what the last part of this was, be aware there are over 4 million Muslims in your UK, not including the illegals. So that's, like you said, the extras. And if just only 10% retaliate, that's 400,000 Muslims ready to fight you. Now, I put that out, and then I had a lot of ex-military guys saying, you're forgetting there's a lot of us, and we are preparing in the background. We are getting ready because we know what's happening. We can see it, we can smell it, we can feel it, and we're ready to take this battle for this country, because no more are we going to allow Keir Starmer to ruin what is ours and to take away our liberties and our civil liberties by indoctrinating and infiltrating the Islamic faith.
Absolutely.
Right. So I just want to, Clara, if you could email me or DM me, please, with that information. We're always interested in information on any containers, because we are looking for them. We have teams looking for them. So that I'm very grateful. And that would actually fit, because Glasgow has 150,000, the largest amount of people. And we've got a big operation on this very soon in Hamilton, and some of the people here that maybe come from that area will know what I'm talking about gangs picking up girls and taking them to houses. We're going to stop that. We want to stop that. What I can say is that we do not have a big enough army, and the ex-military guys, some are in here now, I know them, are watching. I can't say too much because I don't want arrested, but let me tell you, hypothetically, they will already be ready because they are aware of what is happening. They will not allow an overtake of our country. So there are a lot of military veterans. The problem is what's happened with Starmer and those, I just don't want to spell the word. They have squeezed these veterans so hard financially that they're almost on their knees. And I spend a lot of time with veterans, and psychologically it's killing them. But when they switch from being a civvy back to the military, it already kicks in. They will organize and are organized in little groups. Now they are, hypothetically, each area should have a group of veterans who will all know each other from different regiments and will already be communicating. The communication should be with radios rather than telephones. That's already ongoing. So you have groups of these people are getting ready. That's true, but you have to add others to that. You have the bike gangs. We're not talking about that lunatic Chris Hargreaves, who's another subject. But some of the bike gangs have aligned themselves in areas. I know that because I've spoken to a few of them. You also have the former loyalists who are, you don't find many children getting missing in Northern Ireland, do you? That's because they worked that one out. So you've had these communities that are run by these type of paramilitaries, which in the past I can say to you, find abhorrent. But it's coming a stage where people are learning communities will come first. And that also includes the hard men of those communities, the people who would normally be the main guys who are causing problems are saying, shit, we're in trouble here, so we need to organize ourselves for whatever. So I know there's a lot of talks going on between cities, areas of cities, and groups getting together to be ready. Now, that's not organized in terms of being under one umbrella, but they can't wait any longer. This is real. So yes, the military for us is not big enough, but we're full of people with handbags and running around with gay prides in our military. Now, that's the great aspect that I'm not categorizing that. But then you look at what's happening to us. We are not fighting ready because the whole dynamics has changed in all of our forces because they have included so many things. I've said something really bad here. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm trying to explain the normal military and how it has been is control and order. And they don't have that at the moment. So they've been infiltrated by diversity. Diversity causes problems. And I don't mean color. Because then you have different things. Women can fight as well as men. That's proven. But when you have people who then turn up and don't want to do the training, but they still get in. Don't want to shoot a gun, still get in. What are they going to do next? They're not going to wave to the enemy and run off, are they? This war is being written by people who are on the streets who are prepared to go toe-to-toe with these people. That's what will happen.
Yeah.
And the information war, we're losing,
Yeah.
Sorry, do you know anything about this Barcelona Treaty? Can you give us a bit of information about that?
And these I know actually from TikTok. I have to say that any treaty that's been put together in any country, and the Barcelona Treaty I'm going to treat slightly differently, because it doesn't mean that it's something that can be implemented here, because I think this country is too fractionated. If you have a look at Spain, you have different groups, different areas who consider themselves independent, which is what the Barcelona Treaty is about. We have 4 countries who all used to dislike each other in football and sport and everything else. It's got so deep now that all of our country is infiltrated by people who do not have our best interests at heart. And it is done both in the police, the army, in the councils, in the government, the Home Office. All of it means that the structure that we used to rely on is now gone. And there's no more help coming from the army because they would have done it by now. So
Yeah.
we cannot rely on them. The ex-military guys who organise themselves in groups in areas will be the ones that will pull people together. I would march with the ex-army guys to anywhere because I trust them.
Same. Yeah, yeah.
And I think the country will get behind them.
Yeah. Can I just say a massive thank you to Claire Bear? Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
Claire.
the beautiful
Yeah.
gift and for the coffees. We absolutely appreciate that.
Oh, we
And
do,
Far
yes,
to
thank
Cancer
you.
said, milk no sugar, hun.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank
Appreciate
you
that
so
very,
much
very
for
much.
that. Really, really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I mean, like you're saying there, Andrew, there's a lot of veterans who've been in touch with you, Rogan, ex-military, and saying, look, if we're prepared to go to war, toe-to-toe, like you said, if it comes to it, we're going to do it because, you know, we've got to look after our women and children. You know, I mean, you would have thought after 2 world wars that, you know, the men and women give their lives for, we would have learned our lessons. But unfortunately, governments, previous and current, are blind, or they are being played, or they're part of the plan of having allowed this to happen on their watch. And they've allowed these people to come here. And we it's like the enemy behind lines, isn't it? Literally, like we've literally allowed that to happen. And at any moment, as you said, Andrew, they can be activated like that. I remember someone mentioned Liam Tufts. One of the questions Liam asked me when he interviewed me was about that. He asked me, do you think there are sleeper cells in this country right now? And my answer to that was, yes, there is. They're in HMOs, they're in hotels, they're in communities right now, and they're in communication, right, with ISIS, with all these different groups that are out there, and they're waiting for that moment to say, right, now we do it. Now there's enough of us in numbers. We've trained them in mosques, which is what they're doing as well. They're training and breeding grounds. And they've got them all ready to activate and ready to turn on the British citizens and the British people. And the government need to wake up to the reality of what's happening, because it's happening on their watch. And if they don't, then obviously we're going to take to the streets in millions, and it will be millions of people in this country. They'll turn to the streets and say, right, we're not tolerating this anymore, because if it doesn't work at the ballot box, it's going to have to be out on the streets.
Do you know what, though?
Yeah, listen.
I was going to say, the government know exactly what they're doing. So it's not even like it is on their watch, because they're doing it on purpose. This is absolutely part of the 2030 agenda. This is all orchestrated. This isn't like, oh, it's on your watch, so I'm going to hold you accountable. This is on their watch. They want us to go into civil war. They want the digital ID to come in. They want chaos, and they want to start to squeeze us and the bloody life out of us. This is supposed to be, you know, and I'm not being racist in any way, shape or form, you know, but it's going to be completely uneven in how we are standing demographically, you know?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to. Sorry, there was a guy called Stuart who saw me with a veteran on the other day on the steps of that, and this guy has a terrible story. And Stuart, let me know when you're around. I'd love to catch up with you for coffee as well. That was a harrowing story with that vet. I can say that very clearly that the veterans that I know, and some of them are in here tonight, they are very much ready for what's next. Do they have military arms? Well, I'm sure it's not just bow and arrows. Right? They are prepared. They are prepared and structured. The Barcelona training, go back to Barcelona, and Dees knows far more than I. This was about the Islamic part of getting this combination of areas of the country to say, you have to accept Islam. Islam is already here on our streets, preaching about Sharia law. And we allow them to do that. If you think about preaching about the Bible, and I'm not saying I'm just Christian or whatever, and how we think things, that's wrong. So you have the Quran, is no problem, but it's wrong if you preach from the Bible. So they're given that license. That's because within the police now, they are completely at a level where Muslims can influence the police force. When you have a voting pack, they will vote with a religion. They won't vote for the party or the policies. They will vote for the religion. Somalia is the second most corrupt country in the world. Second most out of 170, what it is.
Yeah, it is.
They are in areas, in the hamlets in London, for example, that will vote one way. That's why Khan gets in. These areas are block votes, and we will lose. We're starting to lose the opportunity to influence how we're governed, if we ever had any opportunity anyway. So that sort of thing, because it's all through our society, and they've been really clever because they've done it from bottom to top and top to bottom. And we have that issue. And this is not about racism or far right or this is about a takeover of a Christian country by those people who do not want us to live peacefully and how women currently live. The actual Quran itself has made it really clear that you, as a female, can be taken as a slave. Now, this is not the over dramatizing to the Muslims who are not let's say, so direct about that. I've got friends who are Muslim, play cricket with them, all the rest of it. But where are they now? Where are they standing up and saying, this is wrong? We need to have an inclusive society, but they're staying quiet. So they are as bad as the ones that are now perpetrating this stuff. So they will be protected. So we're going to be in real trouble. And I finish this point. MI5 did a study, and I said it before, did a study for the government about the opportunities that may come with these Muslim gangs, and indeed the opportunities of 40,000 people in terror watch. I believe it's much more than that. They said they expect the attacks to come from the villages, the Christian villages, so they can create terror and allow that to spread to cities. They're not going to attack cities because there's already a lot of them there. They're going to attack the areas where they can get maximum impact. Now, that is important. There were 3 terrorist incidents that were stopped before Christmas, which we gave information to the police, counter-terrorism. It was the first one. So Bobby came to my house, then counter-terrorism won't talk to us. We shared information which we were made aware of because we want to stop that sort of thing. But I don't trust the police either because they are involved in not helping us control what is now happening. And you're not racist. You are going to be somebody that's concerned about what's happening. And if we don't stop it now, we're going to be in deep trouble.
So I've got somebody here saying, Mr. Waffle is saying predictions that Starmer will be in prison by 2030. Listen, not one of them have gone to prison, and not one of them ever will go to prison.
Oh, Tony Blair should be in prison first. I mean, but still, it's not going to happen.
They literally are covered and they are protected. And, you know, whatever. I just don't think it will. I mean, it's a great prediction. I'd like to see it, but I doubt it's going to happen. So look, what we want to talk about is what you think is going to happen here. You know, what can we do to be vigilant? What can we do to be careful? What can we do to make sure that we can protect our children and, you know, our elderly, my mum, my dad, you know, what can we do to protect ourselves?
I think, first of all, this is not about fear or scaremongering. This is about the reality of the situation we're currently in. It's better about planning and trying to create a situation where we can support each other rather than ignoring it. And the key aspects are find people in your community that think like you do. Start to build a group of people that can share information. And I'm going to Hamilton's a good example. There's somebody in here that knows, contacted me about their daughter being harassed and by telephone and by other things. And we then went to sort that, which we did do. We were horrified to learn that there's a much bigger picture of a gang from Glasgow coming down in their cars to try and get girls into flats for drink and drugs and do other things.
Disgusting.
That is being done now. We have to nip that in the bud. The problem is,
absolutely.
and I'll use that as an example, that there are Yardis, which we used to call them the West Indians, who are now Muslims who are the worst of the worst, operating in Glasgow, right? So these people have financial muscle, they can spend money, and they've got the muscle to go and do something about it. But then you have the community people and the awareness of the community people. I'm talking about the tougher guys in the community that now have to self-police that. So I think the reality is that we have to work out what's best. You have to find people who think like you do. Don't believe that the politicians will help or change things immediately. The police, I would say you can't really trust them. So what can you do? You have to look after yourself, look at curfews. And I'm not being funny here, but we have to look at things that are important. Your children, should they be in school? Can you homeschool them? Parents, grandparents, look out for each other, help each other and support. Link with people that think like you do. And certainly, military veterans, get themselves organized in your local communities and supply that support which they will need in the near future. There's a lot of clandestine things going on, which I want to assure people, there's good people preparing for what's coming. And we are not centralized. So in other words, if one group goes down, the rest will still be there. So you've almost got to rely, there are people who do that, but you have to find good people in society in your area to try and give you that support. And it is coming. And I'm not frightening people here for the sake of it. But you have to really stand up and do something about it by making awareness. And don't be frightened if somebody calls you a racist, because you're not.
Yeah. So let's just have a look here. MI5, MI6 are infiltrated and compromised. Somebody's just put Starmer won't be protected by Rupert Lowe when Rupert Lowe gets in. Say again? What did you say, Andrew?
Right. So I saw the MI5 and MI6 infiltrated. MI5 and MI6 are infiltrated. There's no question, right? So you look at our spy agency caused most of the problems in the world. And what we find is we are now alienated from our biggest, let's say, supporters in the US, which tells us one thing. We are in trouble because they run the ship. They're doing nothing to support British citizens already. So for me, all of our society is infiltrated the wrong way. And there's enough good people to stand up and do something about it. And there is a big movement that you don't see in social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So just want to say thank you very much for Andy. He's just put, love you guys. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Hope this helps with the tea, coffee, juice fund.
And thank you for your service as well, Andrew. He's a veteran, isn't he?
He is a veteran.
Yeah,
and you know what? I'm just listening to like his advice as well. He's just saying you need to be extra vigilant. Yeah, he swore an oath,
and that oath is still there as far as he's concerned, you know. So I mean, you know,
he's loyal.
Absolutely,
and that's amazing. And then thank you, Clara, for subscribing. Thank you very, very much for joining the channel. We have gather your resources, give radios to response teams in the local community. And I think it's really, really important to find like-minded people within small villages, communities where you can start to get together. So what I've started to do is I've started to get water, tinned food, pasta, rice. I've put everything together. You know, I'm keeping it safe. I'm preserving everything, doing what I need to do, collecting wood, like drying food, growing food. You know, it's really, really important that we learn to become self-sufficient. And it's also important utilizing whatever we've got. So I've bought lots of candles. I've got like wind up torches. I've got everything that we need in case it's all going to go to shit.
You've got more candles than the Catholic Church, love. You've got loads of them. I've seen them. Bloody everywhere, honestly.
I know, yeah. Oh, geez.
And I see lots of good messages there, and people are asking the right questions. And please, DM me if you have a question. We have to be very careful about giving some information out because there are lots of people on social media and elsewhere who try to infiltrate what we do. Now, I'm not the guru. I'm just a granddad. I'm just a guy who likes to investigate stuff. I'm nobody special, but we can all understand there are good people out there that are doing things for the betterment of our society and protecting us. But we cannot rely on that just happening. We also have to get involved ourselves by sharing information. And I'm going to put some stuff on my website about this in the way that I can, but I would like to do regular updates. And if I get right back here, I can put it on my YouTube channel, whatever. But what I can say is that I have everyday information coming through from other journalists, ex-military agencies, sharing good information with us for us to communicate to you. So we need to find a vehicle for communicating clear and factual information, and which will help people understand where we're at. And I'm ever so grateful you guys for letting me come on to talk about it, because it's a difficult subject in some ways because it's really scary. But another way, I'm trying to say to people, don't believe everything you see on the news. Well, I don't watch TV anyway, but on the news where they'll say about, is it going to be a third world war? No, there's not. There's not going to be a third world war because Putin's not interested and Iran is done. So where's it going to come? China? They're not going to do it either. So these proliferation of issues every day in the paper saying there'll be a third world war, there won't. The second thing is that when you look at things like suicide drones, which you see in the papers today, drones are unmanned, so therefore not suicide. Don't be frightened about some of the terminology that you might hear or see, and understand that the narratives that the mainstream media are going to give you is a mainstream media which is there as a propaganda machine for war. You need channels like this where we can talk about things openly. And when I know that I can share good information, which we know is factual, I'm really happy to share it. There's lots of things I think about and I maybe know, but I can't prove. And I don't really want to speculate. Then I become like everybody else. But there are people on social media who are batting for the other side. Look for honesty and transparency. And these two guys are certainly certainly that. And I'm proud, very much proud to come on your program. But please be careful who you align yourself with. Really use your gut instinct. In fact, sorry, I'm shouting now. Rogue, last night you used something. I watched, and that was politics. you said gut instinct. Use your gut instinct, because that is usually right.
It's always right, but the thing is, people have to get in tune with that. And, some people are scared, and that fear can disable you, and it makes you just start to freeze. You have the flight, the fight, the autonomic response where you just start to go into chaos. And actually, you have to start, like you said, having honest, frank conversations like this, where we can expose it, we can dissect it, we can help your fear, we can actually help what you're trying to process. And there's a lot of really good questions in here as well. How do we do this? And what do we do with this? And we can answer those, and we can bring it, to your attention, because you've also got information, and then we can help everybody that's watching. And, they're loving what you're bringing. So thank you again so much for coming and sharing your stuff with us.
I've got information coming through from different people in this sphere. So these are people who are used to working undercover, people that are used to following terrorism, both in the military and other routes, and they are supplying information to lots of countries like us, where we have the same interests. So Germany, Sweden have same issues as we have, and I'm just checking what I can share. Okay, here we are. And this is hot off the press, if that's okay. I can just to let you know. So we have a specialized message service, and we're going to be talking very much about how people can use special things in the future going forward. The security is really important. But it's telling me here that the new Ayatollah is dead. So I need clarification there, if that's happened. The first attacks have happened in the USA by lone Islamists. That's happening at the moment.
Wow.
Shootings and stabbing. So these are the lone wolves starting to happen. These are not necessarily the cells that we're going to see that go around in groups, but some will operate, and they could be lunatic, but that's happening at the moment in the US. So it will happen here, right? We also have, UK is now allowing the US to use British bases. Now, Starmer said it wouldn't happen. I have it here from 5 different sources, and these people don't lie. The US has just been told it can use British bases. Now, that immediately means we are a target, because Iran said, whatever. So that is just, and this has just happened. So I've got here okay, so this is I'll be careful what I can show, I can show you. You knew Ayatollah is eliminated. Now, I'm not somebody who goes around saying we should kill people, but it's a clear move to stop the leadership in Iran growing. Yeah. And they will target everything to then make a position that the leaders will not want to take over. So you get one's eliminated, another one, I don't want to be next, thank you, I've done enough. That's what they're going to try and do. That's psychological for them. So the more they eliminate, the less likely one will step forward. It's what happens in these types of situations. But this is unusual because it hasn't happened before like this. But psychologically, that's what we do. Yeah.
So Clara Mack has put, before I go, am I right in saying that keeping cash handy is obviously what we need to do? Do you agree with that?
I cash should be handy anyway. But the problem is that people won't be making stuff and you'll have to barter with other things as well, no doubt. Oh, yeah. Cash should always be handy because they've been testing our systems for bringing them down. So you've had blackouts in all the banks over a period of time. There will be a situation where the control of our country, if it's where I think it's going to go, they will shut the internet down. They will shut other things down, giving you less access, and they'll have blackouts. That's called a black swan event. I reckon it's not unrealistic to suggest that could happen. So yes, having tin food, water, and you already saw it on the government's website a while ago, prepare for something. And that something could be just around the corner. So it's sensible advice anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Drones are undetected by radar.
Can I say, I know who this man is. He's a specialist. He's absolutely right. But yesterday, some of my team saw Tiger drones, which are from Iran, on Flight Radar 24 before they hit Dubai. So the transponder, which tells me a lot of their stuff they're putting out now hasn't been fully completed. They've had to use them. And that makes them unpredictable. So yes, they shouldn't be seen. The transponders should not be on, but they're starting to be seen. If they've been seen, these are ones that are obviously being chucked out quickly. They will come to an end soon. That's a good point.
Yeah. So no. D's nuts is my rubber ducky kill. He's from TikTok.
So, Andrew, I just want to say to me, I posted something here. I've been slated online for this, right, on X, because when Iran was attacked, I posted this tweet out. I bet at least 80 to 90% of people on here on X commenting on Iran couldn't even tell you where it is on the map, right? But obviously everyone becomes an expert, right? And the responses I've had in here, there's quite a few. Yeah, there's one I won't read down. That's from someone, I don't know, it's Misty, whatever she is. And if what do you say? And if they can't, are they saying they are not allowed an opinion that sounds very much like something a dictator might say? So she's suggesting I'm a dictator by suggesting that people don't even know on the map where Iran is. It happened in Iraq as well, if you remember, when people were talking about Iraq, whether they were for or against it, right? People didn't even know. I mean, George Bush, he was asked, where's Iraq? He couldn't even put his finger on a map and tell the administration at the time, the US, where Iraq was.
Well, that's what gets me. Because you're having all these people that give opinions and other things, and really the world, the USA, people think Europe is one country. I think understanding the dynamics of where those countries are is okay, but understanding how those people think is a different matter. You have multiple groups of tribes who have their own particular agenda. It's a very complex, and that's why I never comment on how about Israel or Palestine, because unless you've lived in that area and understand the dynamics of that, then to give an opinion is based on what? A narrative you've been reading about. It's very complicated. Palestine is a good example. Yeah. Palestinians are not allowed to go into Syria, Egypt. Syria and Egypt is a good example. They won't accept them. Why? Because of trouble. As an example, there's a 60-foot wall on the border of Syria to stop the Palestinians getting in, both above ground and below ground. So before people start shouting about things about how they should be run, understand the dynamics of each of those countries, which is already complicated within. It's too much for a lot of people, including me, to take on. We have to consider the bigger picture. I think it's about managing that rather than importing something of an idea that really we don't know much about.
Yeah. Well, we'll always report the truth on this channel. And the sources, because we know that you do investigative work with all your team as well, and looking forward to working more and more with you in the future when these things come up, the geopolitical things, because I think it's important we bring it to the masses, and it's unfiltered as well. So we bring it as it is, and we're just grateful for you and everyone that follows the channel as well and check you out as well on your website, Andrew. That's important. And we can't wait to have you on the next show.
It's going to be
great. It is.
We're going to have to do it next week.
Yeah. Time is almost up. So it's almost up.
And I feel honoured to be allowed to come on your show. Because, sorry, it's a bit of a delay for me. I'm honoured to come on your show because I find both of you, for the first time, I found somebody that obviously thinks like me, but is actually open, honest, and gives an opinion based on fact and not on by guesswork. And that makes you two different. And I see a lot of great comments in there. And I think it's more people like you would be great. But I'm honoured anytime to be invited back on, and I'd be very grateful. And these nuts, we have to be careful that, and everything this person's putting is spot on. By the way, I know this person. I think it's important we share as much information as cleanly as possible. And everything I've said tonight, we'll check tomorrow, and you'll see that I'm right. The sources I have are impeccable, and I'm happy to help at any time. And I'm just very grateful to be allowed back on.
No, you are always welcome. So any breaking news, we'll probably give you a call and say, jump on so we can discuss it. Because I think that's really, really important, because breaking news, everybody wants to know what's going on. And when you have somebody with intel, then I think that's also important. And obviously, D's nuts, he can come on anytime and have a chat and tell us what's going on. So guys, thank you so, so much. And, you've done 2 shows with us. So it's just like you're almost...
I'm not banned yet.
I know. It's not TikTok. It's not TikTok. That's just my nightmare. I get banned all the time.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. I don't go on there anymore. It's a waste of time.
All the time. Yeah, I'm literally shadow banned on pretty much everything.
What you say? So you say it, love.
Well, I think it's about speaking the truth, and they don't like the truth.
That as well.
So there we go. But listen, thank you so much. We will round it up now because we have done a good 2.5 hours.
We have indeed,
and it's been a great night. Some has been very sensitive.
Yeah.
Some has going to have brought up emotions. You were feeling emotional.
Yeah.
We were all feeling emotional, you know. And if, again, anybody has anything they want to talk about that, then please come to either of us on the Richie and Rogue or Joac site, and then we can direct you to the people that can help. And then obviously with this as well, it's really, really important. Get your dry food, get your rice, get your pasta, get your tin food, get your water in bottles, get your squashes, get whatever you can that it is a non-perishable food, shall we say.
Yeah, like Penderyn whiskey, Welsh, obviously, you know, you've got to get a bit of that in there, no.
Oh, God. So, yeah.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Right, do you want any last words?
His last words.
I wish I had hair. I've not. Thanks. Feel better now.
Love you guys. Take care.
Well, that was we did 2 shows tonight, Rogue. Absolutely fantastic.
I'm tired. Can I have a hug now?
Yeah,
I feel tired.
Oh, you can have a hug now. You can indeed. Yeah, it was a long show, folks, but the first half was very emotional. So go back onto our onto YouTube channel. The video is going to be processed. It's going to be up. Watch it back because it's quite powerful. Raphael Varola's story on stealing lives. His book's available. Contact Joac.
You must go onto Joac's.
Yeah, because otherwise Amazon get the money. And thank you to everyone that gave super chats tonight and donations to the channel, the page as well. That's massive for us. It means so much. We love you so much. And we love you, part of our family, part of our community. So stay in touch with us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Keep an eye on the socials on Rogues at Rogue Unfiltered and RW Taylors. And as you know, here on the channel, if you hit the notify me button when we go live, because some of you have been saying you're not getting notifications. Now, you need to do it when you go on the channel. There's a little bell on there that says notify me when this channel is live next. So if you hit that, then you'll definitely get the notification. So all that's left to say is thank you for watching the 2 shows tonight. We love you. We're tired.
And we're back on Tuesday.
And we're back on Tuesday.
At 7:30.
At 7:30. God bless you all.
Good night.
Bye.